Hello, everyone. I'm Anju Goela. I'm a senior MBA consultant with the Red Pen. Today, I have with me Faisal Ali, a TRP alumnus and a current student at Kellogg class of 2027. Uh, and today, we are going to talk about what else but Kellogg. Hi, Faisal. Lovely to reconnect with you.
Hi, Anju.
Uh, right. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me on this call as well.
Yeah, lovely to meet up with you, after a gap of a couple of years. Uh,
Yeah.
would you like to introduce yourself to the audience?
Sure. Yeah. So, hey everyone. Again, my name is Faisal. I'm a student of class of 2027 here at Kellogg in the full-time MBA program. Prior to Kellogg, I was working in Atlanta. I moved to the US almost about 10 years ago. I've worked in the medical device industry, starting in product development, moved to product management later, and really excited to be here at Kellogg.
Right. Okay, so today's conversation is going to be segmented into buckets, and we're going to start with talking about Faisal's academic and classroom experience. So at this point, Faisal, how long have you been at Kellogg?
So this is my third quarter here, so I would say it's almost been 7 or 8 months here at Kellogg.
Long enough to
Long
understand
enough.
Kellogg and, its
Yeah.
culture, its ethos, and of course, I'm sure you're deeply embedded in Kellogg by now.
Oh yeah, totally.
Okay, so Kellogg is known to have a quarter system over the semester system. How do you feel this has proved advantageous to you?
Sure. So the quarter system is definitely it's good in ways because it gives you the opportunity to take as many courses as you want. Like each quarter is broken down into 10 weeks, so there are it definitely allows you to explore a lot many things as opposed to like a semester system would. So far I've had 2 quarters. This is my third quarter, and the this is the primary advantage. I would say that it gets sometimes a little more chaotic because you are definitely you're transitioning between these different quarters like very rapidly. But overall, I feel this is a great opportunity because it lets you explore a lot many different courses, work with different professors, participate in these different activities which happen in different quarters.
Right. Since you're talking about professors, who are your favorite professors at Kellogg? Or you can even talk about professors whose classes are very popular.
Certainly. Since I come from a healthcare background, there's Professor Garthwaite, who certainly almost, you would hear about him if you come to Kellogg. He's a very popular professor. So I took one of his classes. He's a really well-known healthcare economist. So that is certainly one of my favorite professors. I'm taking a class by one of my favorite professor. Her name is Professor Bussey, Professor Megan Bussey. Certainly love her classes. And she's again really popular at Kellogg. We have a bidding system for courses here. So we bid for courses, and some of these professors, it takes a lot of points. So we save up a lot of points just to make sure that we can get the classes by these professors.
Interesting. And have you been able to bid for the classes or professors that you want to study with?
Yes, definitely. It's always a case that you may not get all the courses that you want because everybody's trying to get the same number of the same type of courses as well. But 80% of the time you would get the courses you want, as well as there are like seniors you can talk to, as well as the academic advisors who you can go to, and they definitely help you like draft or craft your the courses for that quarter. So it's really helpful. And so I was able to get Professor Bussey's course this quarter, and Professor Garthwaite's course last quarter.
All right. So all those looking for, focusing on healthcare, uh, listen to what Faisal has to say. All right. Uh, Kellogg is focused on experiential learning and tailored cross-disciplinary pathways. Now, tell me how you've experienced this personally.
Certainly. So Kellogg does put a lot of emphasis on like having a class with like people from different backgrounds, different experiences. And I can give you a very recent example. I'm taking a course on operations where there are different aspects of a company that would come into picture. For example, R&D. When it was R&D, I come from a research background, so the professor was asking me about the process, how things work, and I could contribute to the classroom. But there are also like people from purchasing, shipping, these inventory management, sales. So there's certainly helps when you have this opportunity to interact with people from different backgrounds, as well as work with them on different projects. And the perspective each one of them brings is like very varied. And also outside of that, like just the geographical, like there are people who come from different parts of the world. Some people like who've worked in the US, so there's also that sort of variety that gets added to these discussions.
So it's a far more enriching experience.
Totally, yeah, definitely.
All right. How have you leveraged Kellogg's majors and pathways to transition from your pre-MBA product/research role into consulting, which is where you want to go now?
Sure. So the curriculum gives you an opportunity to major in one or many pathways. That's totally optional, as well as you can pick, and this depends, this has a different set of requirements, like the number of courses that you have to take. And certainly some of the majors that I'm interested in is finance and strategy, which I think would be really helpful once I move into strategy consulting, which is where I want to go after my MBA. So certainly you can take these courses or certain electives that would qualify you for a strategy major or a finance major, as well as given my pre-MBA background in healthcare, I would want to get a certificate in healthcare that could help me just understand the overall business of healthcare within the United States, which is where I would be interning, like I would be interning at Oliver Wyman, which is also specialized in healthcare consulting. So this whatever what courses I take here at Kellogg would be really helpful during my internship.
Right. You know, you're talking so much about healthcare and finance and breaking the myths that Kellogg is a marketing school, you know.
Totally. Yeah.
Right.
Certainly they're strong on marketing, and we have some like really good professors, but yes, there's also an opportunity to explore many other pathways or areas.
Right. So Kellogg is also known for its collaborative team-based learning. Did the actual classroom dynamics differ from your expectations?
Um, Certainly, I feel one of the things before coming to Kellogg was like I was very intimidated because we see a lot of things like professors expecting students to like in a class of 100 a class of 100 or 70 people where you have to come up with these answers or your views, and I was it's initially it sounded really intimidating, but Kellogg is very collaborative, something that I had anticipated that it would be students would be really helpful. The environment would be very collaborative, but it was really beyond my expectations. Students are involved in almost every aspect of recruiting or every uh, area of Kellogg, whether it's curriculum, whether it's helping with courses, and your seniors, your own cohort would go to the extent to help you out. So that was a very, very pleasant surprise. As well as you would see that in classrooms as well. There are team-based projects almost every course. And a lot of times you're randomly uh, grouped with different students whom you may not know, but they end up becoming really good friends by the end of the course. So that is something that I've really enjoyed, and you can see that in almost every day at Kellogg, like everyday life at Kellogg.
So it's exceeded, your expectations, not kind of, underperformed in terms of your expectations.
No, totally crossed my expectations.
Completely. Okay, on another note, what was your Quest experience like? And for the benefit of our audience, would you explain what Quest is?
So Quest, I believe it's a very unique experience here at Kellogg, and something initially I wasn't quite looking forward to, because the whole idea of Quest is that you before after the orientation period, which is like a 3-day event at Kellogg, you end up going on a trip with 20 of your batchmates or your cohort, and to any place across the world. And it does sound a little scary because you do not know anyone, most of the people on your trip. You're being led by a group of second years, so they're students as well. So the whole thing initially sounded really chaotic and a little intimidating for me. But I think this was one of the best experiences here at Kellogg, and like most of my all my closest friends are from my quest group because you end up spending so much time with them. Initially, when you start with, there's not a lot of going things going on, like in terms of courses. So you're totally free and like having fun in one part of the world with uh, some 20-25 people from Kellogg. So that is a great experience. Um, Quest, well, I ended up going to Costa Rica. I'm leading one Quest trip this time to Iceland. So I'm pretty excited about it as well. And I would certainly recommend like anyone coming to Kellogg would definitely should opt for any of the Quest trips.
Great. Good luck with your trip to Iceland.
Thank you.
Which core class surprised you the most? Since this is your first year, I mean, you've got a whole lot of core classes. Which one surprised you the most?
Um, think so. There are certainly the more core class, like the very fundamental core classes, which were about uh, for instance, like about finance, about accounting. These were some of the course classes that I had expected the way the way they progressed or like the way they were structured. But some of the more very unexpected classes were, for instance, about courses on strategy, which were given the entire thought process or like how they build the entire structure or the entire coursework on strategy, like how do companies think, was quite surprising and quite new to me. So that was something that was really interesting. Now I'm taking another version of that this quarter, which is about how do countries or governments manage energy needs and how important is that? And that is also very interesting. I would come back to healthcare in this case as well because the healthcare business, being in the healthcare business for almost 7 years, I did not know so many things about it. So my course on healthcare strategy last quarter was again a very surprising course because it's very different the way people think. And a lot of times, for instance, we always complain the healthcare in the United States is very expensive, but I guess most of us do not know why. And this course really opened up my mind as to why uh, things are the way they are and like how can it be improved and how is the government working towards that. So that certainly was very exciting.
Right. Right. So moving on, let's talk about the culture at Kellogg and the Chicago edge that you have. If you were to describe the average Kellogg student, what traits would you highlight that define the community?
Um, I think one of the things that we constantly use at Kellogg is the Kellogg Nice. Well, the Kellogg Nice is essentially you would and that really describes or really defines an average student at Kellogg is like they're certainly looking out for each other, the Kellogg community. And it could be your cohort or the incoming students, or even if someone reaches out, people are very helpful and they would really engage with students. And I had the same experience as well when I was trying to get to know more about Kellogg or just understanding the admission process with like the students here, which was that way it was really helpful. So certainly Kellogg Nice is one of them. They at the same time they have the very intention. They kind of have their pathways defined, and it could be like they may not know everything along with it, but an average student, Kellogg student, really comes in with the expectations of what they really want to do. And if that's not the case, they by the end of it and during that journey, they would understand, okay, where they want to end up after Kellogg and how they want to define their MBA journey.
So it kind of ties up to Kellogg wanting you to be intentional, something that you
Intentional, yes.
need to demonstrate even in your essays.
I say so.
Kind of
Totally
ties
agree with
back
that.
to that. Right. So how much of your social and professional life revolves around the Evanston campus versus the broader Chicago ecosystem?
So I would say majority of the time, professionally and socially, we as an average Kellogg student, or even I would say it's mostly around the Evanston area, given there are so many activities happening here within the campus, outside the campus. However, there are certain opportunities where we get to go to the Chicago area. It could be like if you're visiting certain companies, or there are opportunities for experiential courses, which I have not taken them yet, but I would be applying for them next quarter, where you can go work with companies within the Chicago area, as well as socially. I would say there are a lot of like opportunities to like go to there are so many events out of the Chicago area, which as a Kellogg group we end up going like to baseball games, to basketball games, to even different parties. So that also keeps happening very regularly.
Yeah, you just missed out on the theater. Don't miss out on the theater in Chicago.
Suddenly I need to figure that
Very vibrant. Yeah.
out.
So,
Yeah.
talking about theater and the things that you do in the larger Chicago area, what are weekends like at Kellogg? Is it all work, or do you also get to have fun and play?
No, there's a lot of social engagement, a lot of fun and play. We also call the Kellogg one of it's one of the schools with which has a lot of parties. So there's certainly something happening on a Tuesday night and on a Friday night, and outside these smaller group dinners or engagements that you have. But at a Kellogg level, there's certainly something going on twice or thrice a week. So a weekend here generally at Evanston would look like there could be something, one engagement where you are, when you're meeting with a bigger group of students, that could span across like these different batches, or even like a larger group. And there will also be an opportunity to go out to Chicago. Certainly, there are assignments, there are certain deadlines that we have to work on, so work is also there. But also there are different opportunities for like smaller group dinners, which we call the SGDs, where you can engage with like or connect with different people. It could be simply like, oh, you're interested in the Japan club, so how about we people from Japan, or people who are interested in learning more about Japan just get along with each other and go for dinner, or someone's hosting that at their place. So there are so many opportunities to engage with different groups of people here at Kellogg, and that would really define my weekends.
All right. How does the Global Hub foster an inclusive environment for international students or those from non-traditional backgrounds at Kellogg?
Um, in terms of so the professionally Global Hub, or the Kellogg Global Hub, that gives you a lot of opportunities, and there are so many resources that are available, and it could be in terms of like these career advisors, or these professional advisors. So one thing Kellogg would really between your admit and between or this time you start at Kellogg, it really expects you to understand what is your pathway, where do you want to end up going, and it could be consulting, investment banking, or healthcare, marketing. And once you have decided that, the academic advisors would, or so the career advisors would really help you tailor your resume, work on like connecting with these different companies, help you identify and attend different events, these recruiting events. So the global hub, irrespective of whether you've moved where you come from, a traditional background, let's say consulting, or you've totally from a very different background like mine, that was research, it would really help you get where you want to, with the resources that are available. As international students, I would say outside the professional assistance that Kellogg provides, there are also so many engagement activities. One of the events that I heard about was the ACE program, which starts right before Kellogg, which gives you, it's a 3 week like an engagement session with these different professors who teach you about the culture and how things are within America. Like it could be sports, even politics, just everyday life, and it helps you just get up to speed, because when you start, you'd be interacting with a lot of people within from the US, and it would just give you a better understanding of what everyone is saying, or what sports references they are alluding to. So it really helps. They really help prepare students for that.
Yeah, so they're kind of really helping you integrate into into
Totally.
the system and the environment. Amazing. And yeah,
Yes, totally.
sports is a very big part of being in the US. No getting away from that. Oh, we can't discuss Kellogg without mentioning the Chicago weather. Tell me, how have you coped with your first winter in Chicago?
Uh, it's certainly right during the fall season that everybody would scare you about it, or you yourself would be like, oh, how am I going to survive this? It's not as bad, frankly, than it seems.
Really?
Uh,
I am, well, I beg to differ, but yes, I will take your word for it. And I hope all the prospective students are happy about the fact that it's not a very difficult, season to take. Please.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, not the worst. Certainly there are some beautiful, or there's some good things about it, like the snow. Most of the students end up living within a walking distance of the global hub, so you're really not driving. You don't have to worry about snow cleanup and things like that. So I would say all the bad parts about winter is something that you may not have to deal with. Definitely make sure that you have a very nice jacket, all the protective gear that could help you survive the winter. But it also makes you look forward to the spring weather, which I'm actually excited about.
All right. So it's not all depressing. Okay.
It's not all depressing, and you have your friends around, so I think it kind of works out.
Mitigates all of that. Okay.
Yeah,
All
yeah.
right. So mitigates the harshness. Now, we're going to move on to the next bucket, something that would interest a lot of prospective applicants. We're going to talk about recruitment and careers. Now, I believe you already have an internship lined up for the summer. Congratulations.
Thank you.
It's a big thing in this market, given the current situation. When did you start preparing for, to apply for your internship, and what did it entail?
Sure. So the internship process or the whole recruitment process starts right after you accept you sign up for Kellogg, or you let them know that you're coming to Kellogg, because they one of the resources they would help you understand like what are your different options. They would educate you on that, as well as their opportunities to they have certain tools available where you can work on your resume for before you even start here at Kellogg. Uh, the One of the things like consulting, and I recruited for consulting, starts very early. I would say like mid-September, when companies once you have your resume uploaded within the Kellogg system, companies start reaching out to you. They want to talk to you. They just want to engage with you. So that's starting somewhere in the mid-September. And I would not deny the first quarter ends up being very chaotic for that reason, because you go to your classes, and then after that you have these different recruiting sessions or different engagement sessions with different companies, and there are like 12 to 13 companies lined up who all want some of your time, just so that you go meet them in the evening. So my day used to start at like 8 in the morning. I ended up coming like at 11 or around midnight. And that's how like almost every day would look like, because of these events. And then but the good part is that Kellogg gives you a lot of resources. It's very organized and very structured. So even for someone like me who did not have a lot of idea about like how the consulting industry works or what to expect, there were tools that had lined up in order to like how to engage with the recruiters, what to talk about, to what extent you should engage with them as well, because you could schedule like 12 to 15 calls, and that would take up a lot of your time as well, and their time too. But also after that, like once you get an interview that happens during around the Thanksgiving time, so I would say late November, how to prepare for your interviews. And you have this 1 month where you're preparing for it's a case interview, so you're preparing for these case interviews. And I did not know much about like how to case. A lot of my friends coming from the consulting background had a better idea, but also it gives you an like your friends, your seniors, they all help you out with working on this. And it works for different areas as well, like the investment banking path, or the marketing path, or even the healthcare path. So you can certainly pick and choose. When you start at Kellogg, you can say that I want to join the consulting club, as I did, and the consulting club would really help you with everything right from start till the end.
So what I understand is that the Career Management Center is very supportive, as is, in your case, the Kellogg Consulting Club's peer-to-peer casing, which probably helped you, secure your internship. I am going to, of course, it's Kellogg is known to be a powerhouse for the MBBs, McKinsey, Bain, and BCG. But are there other under the radar firms or niche firms, consulting boutique firms that come and recruit at campus?
Yes, totally. So we last year we had about 13, including the MBBs, about 13 consulting firms they ended up hiring from the Kellogg cohort. And this could be for various reasons. It's like Carney, which was more operational focused, so they were looking for more students with that kind of background. I'll be joining Oliver Wyman, which specializes in the healthcare within the healthcare industry, the pharmaceutical life sciences, as well as the insurance industry. So that is again their niche or the main focus why they come to Kellogg. But there are these different firms who come for like this strategy, and which is an arm of PwC as well, which has these different practices that could be in digital implementation or pharma and life sciences. So uh, they they had come to hire or they were on campus as well last year, as well as the MBBs as well, which do a majority of the recruiting, but they still account for about, I would say, about 70% of the intake. The 30% is by a lot of the other smaller firms or the boutique consulting firms, as you mentioned.
Got it. Thank you. I'm sure prospective candidates will find that very useful.
Mhm.
Now, networking is central to the business school experience. Tell me how much you've leaned on the quote unquote Kellogg Mafia for recruiting and outside, and how much of your networking is facilitated by the school, and how much of it is self-driven?
It's a mix. It's a mix of both. When these, like for instance, when a lot of these firms, and it's not just exclusive to consulting, but other areas as well. With they come to campus, they have a few company liaisons or like company representatives who would engage with the school, and you can officially sign up for a 20-minute coffee chat with any one of them. So that is facilitated by the school. Once you have that interaction with them, they're really your first point of contact, let's say within that company. And then you can certainly express your interest, or this is where I want to explore more, or maybe I want to know more about the Austin office, and they might connect you with someone within Austin. So after that, it's something that journey or a path that you would carve yourself. But the first point of contact mostly comes from within Kellogg. So they are really connecting you with them, as well as a lot of times I had a lot of students. I may have experienced that myself, where it was like I was not able to get in touch with anyone from, let's say, like some company or some firm, and that's when either a lot of your classmates would help because they may have worked there, they may know people who have worked there, or simply you could reach out to someone on LinkedIn who comes from Kellogg. So the Kellogg cohort really helps because knowing someone from Kellogg is really trying to reach out to you or needs help, people would be more than willing to do that.
In the cohort and the alumni?
The cohort and the alumni, yeah.
Got it. All right, I'm going to now take you back in time, to the place or point when you engaged with us and discuss your application strategy and positioning, right? You applied in 2025, was that?
2025, yes.
25, yeah, 24, 25 cycle, right? Now, what did you think was the most strategic intervention in your application journey?
I would say the red pen. uh,
Oh,
uh, so I certainly wanted like I was done with my GMAT. I was working on my GMAT preparation, and I got in touch with one of my seniors. She works at McKinsey in the Boston area, and I reached out to her, and I knew like one of the things I was comfortable with was, okay, I understand how the application processes work in the United States. Like just like your essays, you have your letters of recommendation. One thing I did not anticipate or think or probably know back then was like how different are the MBA applications in general. The essays look very different. And the entire application in general looks very different, and something that I was not prepared for. And one thing she strongly recommended, she was like, okay, she had applied through the Redfin as well. Like she had used the Redfin services as well. And she was like, you definitely should look into it. And I think that was quite a defining point for me because Redfin really, I worked with you, I worked with Sham. You guys, you really helped me understand how the application process works. What are these schools really looking for? And I had all that in my profile. It's just I didn't know how to present it, how to
Articulate.
structure it well,
Yeah.
articulate it. So certainly that was quite a defining moment, and I would say my best decision during the entire
Thank you.
application
Thank you for the
process.
endorsement. I should close it at this point, literally. I should close the conversation at this point, but I'm going to ask you a few quick questions. Okay. Was there a point or was there a moment that you felt that we at TRP pushed you beyond your comfort zone in storytelling?
Certainly, yes, and it all starts from the packet that you originally gave me. It was a long questionnaire that was there. The first time I did not understand as to why am I working on it, but like while I was finishing that document and I started looking at the essay questions, it all made sense. Is like because you're really trying to or get me to recall or articulate everything that I've done, I've accomplished in life, all the challenges that I've faced, and my entire journey in itself, which probably even I do not remember at this point, but that working on that document really helped me uh, get all those things out. And then writing those essays became really it just became a part of the process. So like even the star stories that we were working on initially were really helpful because if you just ask me out of the box, I may not recall any of them, but then going back, it really helps. Okay, these were some of my accomplishments, and that's when TRP really pushed me, as well as to think when I was writing these essays, and Sham would really question me, like, okay, why have you put this as or what is the relevance here? So it really forced me to go take that extra step, work that extra mile to like come up with those essays, and I'm really proud of those essays.
I'm so glad. We are known for, self-reflection that we encourage our candidates to do.
hmm
We've heard years after candidates have been to business school and graduated that they found the exercise extremely useful and, well, kind of, an evolution in self-awareness. All right, if
Yeah,
you could just describe, your experience of working with us in one word, what would that be?
uh, that's a tough one. uh, one word I would say is, uh, I mean, I was gonna totally, I would say it's worth it.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Again, I'm loving
Yeah,
this conversation.
yeah.
Totally.
And if I could describe it in a sentence, I would say, and to reiterate the one of the points you made is it was just not helpful for my MBA applications. It does not just stop there because even after that, a lot of the exercises, a lot of activities, interactions that I engage in requires a lot of reflection. And the exercises or the different activities I was engaged in with the TRP really helped me even prepare for those aspects of my life or the MBA journey. So it's to even this date, I would say like a lot of things I worked on while I was working with the TRP is they're quite helpful for me, even during my recruitment, or I would say like if I'm participating in any of these activities, even during coursework. So it's really helpful.
So I'm hearing that our impact goes beyond applications and we are kind of laying
Totally.
the foundation for business school. Amazing. Fantastic. We can
Totally.
pat ourselves on the back. Okay, I have a few quick questions because I'm kind of running a little short on time. There are a lot of things that
Mhm.
I would like to ask you, and you've given us such a wealth of information, but I'm going to just stick to a few quick questions here now. Another consideration that most candidates have is, the financial concerns. I would just like to ask you, how expensive is it living in Chicago? And if there are any
Um,
costs that, candidates should budget for.
Certainly. So again, living Evanston is one of the more expensive neighborhoods of Chicago, which comes across as very surprising because we are not in downtown. We are 30 minutes away from downtown. The Chicago downtown is actually ends up being slightly cheaper than the Evanston area, and it could simply be as a result of the limited amount of housing options given the number of students that we have here, as well as there's a larger retirement community within the area. So it really adds up to the cost. Um, uh, that said, you can really define your journey or your like how you choose to live here. There are certain buildings that are very popular. They end up being expensive as well. While there are other less popular buildings that are very, I would say, within a 5-minute walking distance to all of these buildings, where the rents would be almost like $1,000 cheaper than living in these more popular buildings. So my approach in this case was to split my time between. So I when I started, I chose to live in more like a less popular building within the same neighborhood. So I'm within 5-minute walking distance to all these places, but then I'd be moving to a more given it's my last year of MBA, I wanted to be closer to my friends all within the same building. And I don't think that I would get that experience again. So I decided my second year I would stay in one of those more popular buildings and which are where everybody lives. Like you have
So
200
it
of
is
your classmates with the
expensive,
same
but you
classroom.
can, if you budget yourself well, you could kind of get by. Right.
Yes.
A business school is also a place for personal growth and transformation. I want to know one soft skill you didn't realize you were lacking until you were challenged by your Kellogg study group.
Um, I would say one skill I would say is definitely engaging in classroom discussion, and it's just not like simply just giving an answer or it's about articulating or standing up to your point. A lot of times when you present a viewpoint in class, the professor questions back, or you would have one of your classmates are
Defend it. Yeah,
push back.
defend it.
Yes. So you should first really understand what you're standing up for and then how to defend it. And it could be all in a very structured conversation, but this is one of the skills I practice almost 3 or 4 times a day, given the number of classes we have. So this is one skill that I'm actively working on, as well as I'm definitely proud of like the progress that I've made since I started the MBA like time at Kellogg.
All right. Um, just one last question before we wind up. Is there anything you wish you knew before you joined Kellogg, or would you have wanted to do something differently during your application process?
Um, within the application process, well, one thing I always had this impression, or from a lot of my friends or even family, where they said like MBA is really not very demanding, or MBA is pretty much you're just going to go to school to have fun. It really is. It's really not like that. It's certainly it's a very demanding degree. There are a lot of different commitments, and one thing I wish I would have I wouldn't have done differently, but like something which came across as a surprise to me was that how demanding and how engaging it could, how much time does it require? Like throughout the day, you're possibly working 12 to 15 hours on different things and different courses that you have, and even activities that might be related to your professional journey, or even within the Kellogg these different clubs. So it takes up a lot of your time, and I think for any incoming student, I would say yes, be intentional. You cannot do everything that is available because there's so many things available. And if you're intentional, if you can manage your expectations and everyone's expectations accordingly, I think it would be you will have a great time here.
Perfect. you didn't ask us this question, right? We are always telling, candidates that going to business school is like being on a roller coaster, or a
Okay.
treadmill that you're not really getting off from for the next 2 years. And of course, drinking out of a fire hose. You're constantly,
Constantly.
trying to, yeah, you're trying to kind of manage competing priorities. All right. Thank you so much, Faisal, for your time. Thank you for coming in today and talking and speaking with me. Wonderful. You've given us a wealth of information. Of course, you've endorsed us, the part that I truly love. I would have loved to speak to you about a lot of things, but unfortunately, we're kind of short on time. Maybe we do this, we'll have a part two to this and do this again. Thank you.
For
And
sure. Thank
uh,
you so
uh,
much.
you have a wonderful day today and wish you the best for the next 4 quarters, 5 quarters that you have, to
Four
go.
quarters. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Bye.
All
Bye.
right. Thank you so much. Bye bye.